are the Instagram stories for Monday, October 21st. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Before I dive into today's episode, I want to give an update about the show. Last week, I asked for you, the listener, to give me your feedback on the show, how I can improve it, how I can make it better, any major problems, and then I would use that information to improve the show. Thankfully, many of you filled it out, which I super appreciate, not only you listening to the show, but being willing to share your feedback with me. And for those who have filled out the form, I've sent you a $20 virtual Amazon gift card. So hopefully you got that. The learnings that I got by way of feedback were not all exactly the same, meaning that many listeners suggested different things. So I want to figure out what is the best way to incorporate those to the amount of time, energy, and bandwidth that I have in order to implement those improvements across the show. Thankfully, I did not get a lot of complaints about the audio quality, which was what my biggest fear was, frankly. I don't have a fancy studio with soundproofing material on the walls or anything like that. If you would like to give your opinion on the show, how you think I can make it better, the link to fill out the form is in the show notes, and I welcome all feedback on how I can improve the experience for you, the listener. With that, let's get into today's episode. On Mondays, we talk about what the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, shared on his weekly Ask Me Anything. Before we dive into the questions and answers, Adam Mosseri made a video where he talked about the way carousels work on Instagram and why it is advantageous as a strategy to use carousels on the platform. I will let him explain it to you, but the short answer is they show carousels multiple times because there are multiple photos, so it's worth it to post a carousel instead of a photo.
Why carousels often get more reach than photos? Two main reasons. One, multiple pieces of media on going to mean more interactions with your carousel post, and more interactions is going to mean more reach on average. And two, if someone sees your carousel post but they don't swipe, we'll often give that carousel a second chance and automatically move to that second piece of media for the viewer. Also, if you do post a carousel, I highly advise you to add music so it's eligible to show up in video experiences like the Reels tab. Now, don't feel like you have to force it, but if you're on the fence and you can go either way, choosing a carousel over a photo will often help you get more reach. More advice to come. Peace.
This is not a new strategy, by the way. Instagram has been showing carousels in feed multiple times for quite a long time, and I would say at least 3 or 4 years at this point, if I'm not wrong. But adding music is also a key way to give that a little bit more of a bump. Okay, now let's go on to the questions and answers. Since we're already talking about carousels, let's talk about carousels with music. The question, do carousels with music appear in the Reels tab? The answer to this is yes, because of a recent announcement that Instagram made.
They do now. We've been experimenting with showing carousels and photos that have music in the Reels tab because it's a music first or sound on experience. And so it might be a way to get some more reach if you are someone who posts carousels.
Just a quick reminder that every little bit of reach that you can get helps. So if it's worth it for you to do this as a strategy, I would absolutely recommend it. Let's do one more carousels related question. What is the sweet spot of number of pieces of content in a carousel? This is a good question, and I was looking for Adam Mosseri to give some kind of analytics data. He didn't, but I do think the answer is still helpful.
There is no sweet spot. We did recently increase the number of pieces of media you can have in a carousel from 10 to 20. If we show something multiple times because someone doesn't swipe, we only do that twice. So adding more isn't going to help you. So just add as many that you need to tell the story that you want to tell, and don't feel like you need to add any more than that.
Okay, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about getting more views on Reels, Reels monetization, and cross-posting between apps. So stick around. Welcome back. Let's continue with the questions and answers. The next one has to do with creators being compensated. Will creators ever be compensated for views on Reels? I'll be honest, I am so just over how Instagram handles this whole topic that I don't even want to get into it. Here's Adam's answer.
We are experimenting with a program where we pay creators for the engagement they drive with their Reels. But in general, we have struggled to make that program sustainable. It turns out that most of the time with Reels, lots of creators are already creating Reels. And when we pay them more to create more Reels, they do create a little bit more, but they're not quite as good as the Reels they would have created for free. And in terms of how much more money we earn as a business, it's a lot less than we end up paying, which means we're just burning money, which doesn't make any sense. So we're trying to figure that out. I would love to be in a place where we could reliably pay out bonuses to creators for the content they make in a way that was at least breaking even and was transparent on how you were eligible and the checks weren't embarrassingly small. That's the goal. We've been working on it for well over a year, more like 2 now. But we've had trouble, particularly for Reels, to get the economics to work out, to get the numbers to work out.
The thing that he says in videos like this, which makes me so upset, is that because we've been creating content for Instagram for free for so long, they don't see an ROI to paying creators because we're just going to keep making that content for free anyway. And if they do pay us, the quality goes down. I find this topic to be so infuriating, I'm just going to move on. The next question has to do with trending music for Reels distribution. The question, should I use trending music to help with Reels distribution? I would say yes, if it makes sense.
Don't force it, but I think going and seeing what music is trending is a great way to get inspired and figure out what kind of reels you want to create. And it's a great way to make something that's going to resonate with people because people often like to participate in trends. And if you make something that's part of a trend, a lot of people might interact with that content. But if it's not aligned with what you do, like it's not aligned with what I do, then don't force it.
The next question has to do with cross-posting between apps. The question, do you recommend cross-posting between apps? I would always say yes to this question because if you worked hard to create a piece of content, you should put it on as many platforms as possible so that everyone has an opportunity to see it. If they're not on Instagram, or maybe they didn't open the Instagram app that day, but they did open Threads, or they did open WhatsApp, or they did open Facebook, they should see your content. You worked hard on it. Here's Adam's answer to this question.
Generally, I do. I think it's a good way to increase the number of people who see what you post, to increase your reach. But it's not necessarily for everyone. If you're not really interested in building up a presence on another app like Facebook from Instagram or vice versa, no need to do it. But if you are looking to just reach more people, then being able to reach those on another app is going to increase the overall number of people who see your content.
And the last question we're going to discuss today is one that I meant to talk about last week, but I didn't. I goofed. Apologies. The question, how can I switch to a feed that's chronological? If you have been using Instagram since before 2016, you remember what the chronological feed experience was like. You would scroll back through posts until you reached one that you saw before, at which point you would say, okay, I have seen everything there is to see on Instagram, and you would close the app and go about your day. Since the app switched to an algorithm in 2016, you now see content from different time periods. Something might have been posted in the last 10 minutes or in the last 4 days. And that's what makes up your algorithm. The question, how can I switch to a feed that's chronological? Good news, you can.
When you're in the home screen or the home tab, as you scroll, you'll see the words for you on the top left. You go and tap that and you click on following. And then it'll not only be in chronological order, it'll only be from accounts that you follow. There will be no unconnected recommendations.
Okay, that's it for today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed these questions and answers with my opinions on top. If you would like to give your feedback on the show, which would be greatly appreciated, go to the link in the show notes where you can fill in all the things you think about the show, what's good, what's bad, and where you think it can be better. As always, come back next time for more social media news, strategy, and other things I think are very important and therefore you should know.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager, but do not have a bachelor's degree. But actually, that's factually a fraction of me. Another fraction's posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course, a book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency, but I got a lot of spam. Just putting in my work without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish unless it's shrimp or clam. No six pack, no risk that, there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.